Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Got yourself some extra credits with the missions from this weekend in World of Warplanes. Had a request over the weekend to talk about energy fighting, and so that's what I'm going to do today. And you may be like, why are we at Tier 3? Why are there no other players here? Well, this is Training Wheels. This is the very beginning of energy fighting, and so I looked over the player who asked me about this, and this was a Tier 3 aircraft he had. And although Tier 4 is really where energy fighting does come into the game in a significant way, this is a great Tier 3 plane to practice it with. It's a low tier premium. Many people have it. And so we're going to start here. And there's no other players just because I'm be late at night. And I started to not record this because I thought, well, is that any good? And then I thought, well, yeah, Training Wheels, because this gives us plenty of opportunity to practice those tactics over and over and over again, right? And you can refine them later. So energy fighting 101 against some bots in a plane that's really good at it. So why is the F2A1 a good energy fighter? It's got twice the climb rate of many of the other aircraft at Tier 3, and it also has, one of the better altitude adjustments. So I'm sitting 640 meters over its optimal altitude, but it's still handling pretty well. You can see I had a decent speed, especially for Tier 3. And this, I just want to show you right there. See how I whipped around? See how much speed I dumped? I dumped 50 kilometers per hour just of that little maneuver. That's crazy. And that's what happens when you turn fight people. You dump energy, you lose speed. So for this match, what we're going to do is think about it this way. The kilometers per hour, our speed over there, kilometers per hour, our speed over there is going to be money. And to the right, our altitude is going to be our bank. And we're going to try and put money in our bank as much as possible, unless we need to take it out and spend it on shooting someone down. So that's how we're going to think about it. We're going to take the left-hand number and as much as possible transfer it to the right-hand number. Now, when I did that turn immediately to the left, I lost 50 kilometers per hour, but I didn't gain any altitude, so I didn't put any in my bank. I basically went and bought a bunch of frivolous things on the internet, right? Ordered some fun Amazon stuff. And so that's not great. But what I am doing is I'm setting up for a dive on these guys, and that's where energy fighting really comes in, is it's fighting a lot of times in the vertical. Mostly it's about the retention of energy, though. So think about that bank. We're going to work a lot in the vertical here, but think about that bank. And it's vertical because the vertical is putting money into and out of the bank. So I'm watching my map, and if you're watching, you're looking down on the lower right-hand side on the mini-map, which you should be doing about every 10 seconds in the match. And you can see I've turned left because all the planes behind or below me are headed towards our incoming planes. And so I want my dive to be in such an angle that I'm on the rear of the plane that I'm chasing. So here's me coming down. I've got 4 to choose from, but I notice I've got one directly in front of me that looks like a good candidate, and one just a little off to the right here looks like a candidate. And I'm just going to feel this out as I dive. What's going to be the best way to get? I'm looking, and then I realize this plane right here looks like he's nosing up. He's engaged in maneuver fighting with my P-35. So that's going to be good. He's got a great target. Oh, by the way, I'm taking money out of my bank, right? I've lost 400 meters, and I've picked up 150 kilometers. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, obviously, but I'm picking up speed here, taking money out of my bank and using it. And I'm just going to dump MGs on this guy. Now, one of the downsides of the F2A is it doesn't have very good guns, so you're going to struggle with that. And normally right here, you would turn, right? Most pilots would engage in turn fighting, but we're doing practice match. We're training wheels a little bit. I mean, it's an actual match, but we're training a little bit here. And so I'm not going to turn and follow him. I'm going to bank that energy back. So I'm going to take that speed, and I'm going to put it in the altitude bank. And as I lose speed, I gain altitude. And you can see he's following me, but he's already lost all his energy. He turned the way I turned back there at the beginning of the match. He lost all of his speed, and he did a circle to come after me, and you're going to watch that number just go up, right? There's very little he can do. And right here, I notice he's turned off of me, and I've banked back 400 meters, and I've still got very good speed, right? So I'm going to bank some more by going over rather than turning. I'm going to lose speed the same way I would in a turn, but I'm going to gain altitude while doing it. So I'm just going to bank that. That's smart buying, right? That's I went and invested in something really cool, and now I've got it in my bank, and I'm going to take it right back out again, but I still saved it. That speed is still there in altitude. So I'm going to come down over on him again, and then I realize, actually, got a better target right here, right? This guy's now climbing after the P-26. Let's go after him. In hindsight, probably should have stuck with that guy, but same thing. And we're off, right? I've done what I can to him. He's burned all of his speed. He's going slow, but look, I've got all my speed back. I turn another target because I can do a little bit of wiggle. It's not about not turning at all, but it's about not making those sudden herky jerk turns, right? And now we're just going to go up. We're going to put money back in our bank. And over we go. And there's a guy right there. He's close. And we can just ride the wave down again. We're taking money out of our bank. He's dead. And I can turn a little bit. Make a pass at this guy. And then this guy right here. Look, I'm just spending a little bit of my money with those little bit of wiggles, right? Not a whole lot. I lost about 15 kilometers per hour. I'm going to put money back in my bank again. We're going to climb away. And this is a fight. We need this airfield, so I'm going to go ahead and dip over right here and finish this guy off. All right, and now we've almost got it. We've almost got the airfield. Oh, look, this guy's hung himself out to dry in front of me, and I'm going still fast. And there's the airfield for us. Still got plenty of speed. This guy's going to turn. He's going to be down too. So that's a great strafing run right there, right? Multiple kills on the way through. I've maintained some altitude. I've still got a great deal of speed. Remember when I was coming in at the beginning of the match, I was at about this speed. And look, my boost is full. I haven't even had to use my boost. So if someone comes after me right now, if there was an enemy pilot against me, they're going to have to chase me with full boost, right? And that's going to be awesome. So now there's a P-36, and this is defensive energy fighting 101. It's a little bit of what I showed you in the Spitfire video, but let's watch, right? I know this guy's got a little bit of energy too, so I'm going to turn. So I'm wiggling my wings and turning. I'm forcing him to turn too, and as we both turn, we're both going to dump a little bit of speed. But I'm betting that I have more energy. I have more speed plus bank than he does. And I'm feeling he's going to peter out before I do. This also makes me harder to hit, right? If he wants to do that, he's going to follow me into this corkscrew. And then I tip back over once I'm at a point where I'm just above. You can see on the yellow there, I'm almost to stall speed, right? So I'm going to tip over. And we're going to make a pass. We're going to make sure we don't ram him. We don't want to do that, right? And then I've got my speed back, right? I've banked everything. So look, my speed's pretty high. His speed is nothing. He's been climbing that whole time. So his speed is lower than mine. So now I have more energy than he does. And watch me use that energy to climb. I'm going to bank the speed again and come right back to him. Now I'm on his tail, right? And he's going to peel out because he's a bot. He doesn't know what to do here. And it's going to cost him his airplane. Now I'm at low speed, but look at my altitude. My altitude is great. It's even better than it was to begin with. And look at my boost. My boost is still really great too, right? So that's awesome. I've got altitude. I can regain my speed just passively through the speed of your plane, which, by the way, that's what cruise speed is. Your cruise speed is sort of the plane speed your plane wants to go at in the match. And while I am dumping a little bit, again, sometimes you got to turn and reorient, and that's all I'm doing. I'm keeping my altitude. I'm keeping my bank speed. I'm looking for my next target. And see the Focke-Wulf down there, but our bots have him. And again, if this were a real match, I'd probably be playing this a little differently, but I'm just trying to keep with that energy fighting motif. And we're going to dive on him. I waited until he turned his back to me, right? I've got a good angle on him. I'm going to ride the wave down, take money out of my bank, and I'm going to burn him down. Or at least I'm going to try to, because these guns are nothing. It's 1.7 and 1.12 if you don't have this plane. And then I'm going to bank my money back. And up we go again. So now I'm at 800 meters, 850. I'm still up here, and I've still got pretty good speed. My boost I had to use it on that one because of the tip over maneuver that I did, right? Coming back the 180 in the other direction. But we're going to gain some of that back because we're going to dive on the Skua now. Unfortunately, this is a bad angle because he's coming at me, so I'm probably not going to kill him on this pass with my weak guns. But we're just going to keep at it, right? And again, rather than turning and fighting and dumping all of my speed and being at low energy, low altitude, low speed, and having a heavy fighter back here in the background after me, right? We're just going to roll on. And we're going to come up and bank that speed again. And by the way, the bots are doing a great job. They're probably going to take him down anyway. And look, here's a P-35. Let's go after him. We can continue to bank energy. We can continue to gain altitude. We can continue to gain some boost back. And then we're just going to tip over and follow him. Now, I'm kind of waiting for him to come up to finish his attack route, right? Because if I dive after him now, he's just going to turn and I'm going to overshoot him. And this is an important part of energy fighting that sometimes gets missed, and this is where turn fighters are good defensively against energy fighters. I know he's going to turn, so I'm going to wait for him to turn before I make my dive. Now he's set his path. I know he's going after my guys, and I'm going to intercept. Watch where my nose is. It's not on his plane. My nose is going to be in front of this plane, right? I'm going to try and get out. There we go. It's a little hard to see in the replay, but I want this 360 so you guys can see what I'm doing, right? And again, I'm not going to turn to follow him. We've chewed him up great. If we had a plane with better guns, he'd be dead. But we are going to go straight over again. And this time, we're going to follow this guy out, because the other guy's lower in health. Our bots have him zeroed. And he's done. And we're going to bank that speed right back again. I'm going to use my boost here. I'm going to go ahead and get that altitude back. I want to be up as high as I can. And again, I know I've got to do 180 because I'm at the edge of the zone. So, and there we go. Use a little bit of my boost again. There's no planes around, so I know I've got plenty of time to regen that boost. And I'm back at 1,000 meters and 300 kilometers per hour. So this is all we're going to do. This is energy fighting at its finest, right? It's just those vertical loops. It's when you take money out of the bank, when you put money into the bank. You know, it costs me very little to make that turn. I'm going to go up and over. And I'm just going to bank it. You can see I boost a little to make sure I don't stall on the way over. And we're just going to follow this guy right back down. Now, unfortunately, we're at the edge of range for my two guns, and so I'm just not doing a whole lot right now. I even zoomed in, and I'm like, oh, I'm hitting this guy, I'm just not doing anything. We'll talk more about why I'm not doing damage to him in another video, by the way, because that's something that most players don't know. Why am I not doing damage even though I'm hitting him? Is it server desync? Well, sometimes it is, but there's other things going on as well. Okay, no turning, just going straight up. And approaching my stall speed, but now I'm back at 1,000 meters, 950 meters, right? I used a little bit of boost to get my speed back up. And I got another bad boy coming in over here. Just banking speed, and I'm gonna let my heavy take a pass. I realize he's turning away. That may not be the best thing for me to go after. They've just taken the plant, even though we're ahead. So, you know, just is what it is. Again, I'm focusing on energy fighting more so than doing anything else. Not that there's a whole lot I can do in a tier 3 light fighter to mining plants, right? But the P-26 is coming back in. So we're gonna go almost head on with him. And you can see we got the heavy fighter in support right there, so I wasn't too worried about it. We're keeping it, now we're at 1,400 meters, right? We're just energy domination over anyone. And I gotta decide how to spin this. Do I dive after this guy? Well, look, he's chasing a ground attacker. If I tip over now, I'm gonna go all the way to the ground, and there's only so much that you can bank. And this is part of an aircraft characteristic that does not get looked at a lot. But if you're doing energy fighting, your maximum dive speed is important, because that's the maximum amount you can bank, right? That's the maximum amount you can pull out and hold in your hand, I guess I should say. So I can withdraw from the bank, but only up to my maximum dive speed. And unfortunately, the F2A at Tier 3, you know, doesn't have great dive speed. It's still better than most other Tier 3s, but it just doesn't have great dive speed. So now we're at squall line. Anybody I kill is out for good. That's awesome. But again, I'm more just worried about this. All right, so that AO192 has just looped over and is coming up. So I'm going to loop down on him and take some money out of the bank. And you can see I'm already in the high I'm in 400, right? I'm in yellow range, which debuffs my maneuverability, and stuff. So I got to be careful about that. But you know, again, we're not turn fighting; we're just diving on people. And I realize, look, he's continuing to dive. He's come out of his climb and he's diving, and I'm watching him. I can tell he's not angling up; he's angling down, right? But this guy over here, the Focke-Wulf 57, is angling up. So it's time to change targets because I don't want to lose everything, right? Again, there's a cap that I can pull out. So I decide, well, change targets. Come up here, start it on this guy. And you can see he turned, but he's going slower than me, even though he's a heavy, right? I'm losing it, leaving him in the dust because I retained my energy and he turned, so he lost his energy. He just threw it away. He bought frivolous things on Amazon. Again, unfortunately, gun's not doing much here. And I do have to do a little bit of turn fighting because I need to get this guy out of the game. Unfortunately, his rear gun is shredding me. So I've got to bail, reset. But again, I'm still kind of pointing it down. I'm still aware of my energy state. And even though I'm low altitude, look, my speed is high. So I'm going to be able to rebank that altitude when we get through this. Now I'm really wishing I'd chosen to do the first video on something with better guns, right? But again, you know, my altitude is back up. I got plenty of boost. I'm just going to regain it. Not sure what the Pegasus is doing up that high. That was crazy. Not sure what the Schweissler is doing up this high either. These ground attack aircraft way high in the sky, right? So again, I'm just going to bank it, tip over, give him the guns again, and out he is. And by the way, I gotta retake this zone now, right? So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pass on this guy. I'm gonna hit my pneumatic because I do want that wing back a little bit. And he's low energy. Why? Because he climbed after me, right? He banked all of it in altitude. He doesn't have any energy left. But I can withdraw and I can put my speed back up. And I've just got more, you know, my bank plus what's in my hand is higher than him. So I can do this to him all freaking day, right? No matter how much he climbs, he's always going to be just on the ragged edge of stalling out. And I'm not. I've got plenty of boost. I've got plenty of speed, plenty of altitude to choose from. We're just going to do this until he's gone. Now, unfortunately, this is World of Warplanes, and so, you know, not everything always goes according to plan. But generally speaking, I can just do this. You can see I have the wiggle wings there to get a little more separation. We'll go over that in a future video. All right, he's down. Our altitude is back. Our boost is back. Our speed is moderate, but we can fix that. All right, we're going to go after another one. I've got a guy climbing after me, but I've also got low hit points, so I got to be aware. I've got to do some defensive flying here. All right. We're going to tip around him, hopefully. And now we're going to go up and over. And again, this guy's got more energy to work with, right? And I'm also kind of at the edge of mine. But I'm not using my boost at all. I want to tip over. I want to come after him. And I think I got him. He's on fire, right? This is where World of Planes goes sideways sometimes. I got him. He's on fire. So I just kind of lead him. I'm like, oh, he's going to burn out in like 3 seconds, right? No problem. So I kind of like, oh no, he's not burning out. He's taking forever to burn out. What the heck? And then I take some fire myself. And we all make mistakes, right? How is this guy not dead? Oh, the fire didn't kill him. Wonderful. Fire did a grand total of what, 15 hit points? Something like that? Lovely. So now I got to do my energy trap on him again, or I got to take him to vertical. All right, now he's dead, and there's our airfield. But unfortunately, we've lost the match, right? You can see that already, hopefully, with what's going on. So this is one of the downsides of energy fighting in warplanes, and that War Thunder 2 a little bit, if you guys play that. But there's a timer on the match, right? In real life, there's no timer on the match. So in real life, energy fighting generally beats turn fighting. Because you can take all day, you can do whatever you want. And in 1.x, right, in the early version of World War Planes, before the rollover to 2.0, there's a little bit of a counter, but there's no respawns, right? It's just mono a mono, right, PvP, pure. And so knocking a plane out, and then it'll come back. And you built as much altitude, you know, you just energy fought, and it was really hard. You have a really good defensive flyer in turn and burn to succeed, especially against altitude energy fighters like this. But here with the respawns and with the timer at the top, it generally takes longer to kill a plane energy fighting than it does turn fighting. And so it's not as efficient a method of fighting. And so you're not going to see people doing a lot of pure energy fighting like I've done here in World War Planes 2.0. No, instead, what we're going to do is energy fighting is a tool in our toolkit. Sometimes you're going to turn and burn, sometimes you're going to energy fight. And you're going to do that based on the ability of your plane, the energy state of your plane and the plane that you are engaged with, and just knowing you know, the status of the game and knowing the status of the planes more than anything. Because the reality is, this guy actually also has a mid 10-second turn time. So, you know, it might be if I'm playing some other plane that has a you know, worse turn time than me, maybe I do want to dogfight him. Maybe I do want to tip over and turn fight, right? So we talk about, you know, which tool we want to use, and we decide there, okay, am I going to energy fight or am I going to turn fight? What's it going to be? So I know I can't do much other than kill this plane based on the timer, so that's what we're going to do. And you can see I'm still in energy fighting mode. I tip over underneath and do it. So this, by the way, if you've been wondering, why is the Spitfire so strong, right? It's a hybrid line. The Spitfire is a hybrid line. It has a great climb rate, has great energy retention, and it also turns very well. And in fact, the Spitfire line is actually overpowered. It truly is, because it can do a little bit of both too well. It turns a little too well for the energy fighting capability it has, and then you add the Spitfire DB, it's just even more, right? So basically, if you're in the LA series in Soviet aircraft, or you're in the Spitfire series in British aircraft, you have a very versatile toolkit. You can turn and burn, you know, with your sub 9-second turn times, and you've also got a decent engine, decent boost time, decent dive speed, and so you can energy fight. And so the great thing about the Spitfire line, and to a lesser extent the LA line, which is the same thing but balanced, is, you know, if you're facing an energy fighter, then all you want to do is turn fighting, right? You're going to out-turn him, so you kind of bait him into, or hope he goes into turn fighting, because you're going to win that every time. And if you're fighting a turn fire, if you're in your LA or Spitfire and you're fighting a zero, take him energy fighting. Do vertical loops like I've done in this match. He's not going to be able to keep up. He does not have the climb rate. He does not have the maximum dive speed. He doesn't have the altitude ceiling that you do. And so as a result of that, you're going to be able to win, right? So energy fighting is a tool in the toolkit. We're going to explore this more in the next video. We're going to do part 2 on this, taking into a combat with real players, and we're going to do a mix-up, right? A mix of energy fighting and turn fighting in a realistic fashion and kind of put this into practice. But if you want to know energy fighting 101, you want to know energy fighting with training wheels, it's what I did in this match, right? It's banking and withdrawing on your energy in the form of altitude and speed, and that's the basics. All right, hope that was helpful. Again, we'll come back to this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'm happy to answer them for you. If you want to subscribe and like the video, that's always awesome, and I do hope to see you in the game this week. Make sure to pick up the Swoosh Goose before it goes off sale on February 16th if that's something you want. It is a good energy fighter as well, and so certainly something to pick up if you want to do this style. Energy fighting, by the way, is mainly light fighters and heavy fighters. Some multi-roles can do it, but not all. It's mostly a light fighter and heavy fighter thing, and again, not all light fighters do it. They're split between turn and burn and energy. So, but again, if you want to practice, this one's a good one to practice at lower tiers, kind of doing that. It has great energy retention, great dive speed, and again, a better altitude than most of the tier 3s. Not super high, but still better. And then also just has just a really good climb rate. And again, compared to some of the other planes, it can be as much as twice as high as them. So when you're in that vertical, even if they're trying to follow you, you're going to lose them. So again, hope this was helpful. Again, comments, questions below, and we will revisit this later in the week on a higher tier against some live opponents. Until then, enjoy your games. Good luck and good hunting.